All right, welcome everybody. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to open our meeting. We are Zooming tonight again. So I want to make sure everybody is understanding that we are being recorded. Present tonight, we have Jerry Patria, Dennis Clark, our coordinator, Brian Pranka. We have our secretary, Jean Nilsson, Marissa Cook-Obregon, Dave McWilliams, Brian Pranka, Ahmet Mazanoglu, it's invisible, and Norm Cheevers from Lake Management Committee, our liaison. All right, so that's us.
What is the date, Chris? Today's date is?
Oh, boy, you keep on asking tough questions. Today is October 19th. It says it right on my watch.
2020?
2020.
Oh, boy.
Thanks, Dennis.
Get them all in there. Welcome again. All right. And so Dennis, did you want to go over some certificate of compliances tonight before we
Well, do you want to get to the minutes first? Do you want to do the minutes first?
We
Get
can
that out of the way. I
certainly
don't
do
know
the
if everybody's
minutes.
had a chance to look at them. If they have, it shouldn't take long.
Yeah, has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes for October 5th?
I did. I found one mistake.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
Me
The
too.
very last page, under the swamp trail, you have listed swamp train, not trail.
What?
I saw a train there.
You
Should
did?
be trains.
Oh, all right. Then never mind. Don't change it then.
I
Trains
got one,
didn't go
I
by
got one
there.
thing too, under,
Trail into Boston, because that would be awesome.
sorry. Second to the last page, I think there might be a 0 missing under Norm Cheevers section, where it says $500 in docked vessels. Isn't that supposed to be 5,000?
Correct.
That's all I found.
Well, maybe the other $4,500 went someplace.
Maybe.
If I could just ask who ML is, I can get a name on that.
Sure, it's Mark Reed from Heritage Surveys.
Oh, great. Great to see you, Mark. I'll put your name up here. All right, Chris, do you want to move? Do you want to, did you take a vote on that? I missed it.
No, we did not take a vote yet. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to add or subtract or amend?
That's all I saw. I'll
Okay,
make a
hearing none,
motion-
I'll take a motion on the minutes of October 5th.
Motion to accept with amendments.
All second. Brian Pranka, what do you say?
All set. Aye.
Jerry Patria,
Aye.
Marissa,
Aye.
Mamet?
Yes.
Okay, they passed. Pretty good.
And we have both consultants for the request for certificate of compliances, if you want to go right there, Chris.
Yep, why don't we do that?
The first one is for 802 College Highway, and that's, I think that's Dan Nitchie. Dan, are you still with us?
I'm still here. Good evening. You ready? Do you want me to go ahead?
You may.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Dan Nitchie. I'm with GZA Geoenvironmental out of Springfield. We're representing GKS Corporation for 802 College Highway, the American Inn. Back around 2006 or so, we received an order of conditions under DEP file number 292-183. Part of that, the primary work there was a crossing, a bridge crossing, and then there was an associated wetland impact. Part of that, obviously part of that is to get the order, we proposed a wetland replication area that was constructed. We weren't involved in the construction, but now the property is being transferred, so they need the certificate of compliance. Recently, I went out there, did an inspection, found that it was a wetland, seemed to meet all the criteria. Dennis and I just looked at it late last week. It seems to follow that particular criteria, and based on the documentation that we're providing to the commission, we feel that it is in compliance with the requirements of a replication wetland, meaning it has more than 75% wetland plants, it has the hydrology necessary, and is contiguous to the stream system that's out there, essentially making it a bordering system, which is what we designed. What we also discovered, Dennis and I, when we were out there, was a silt fence that's still there since around 2000, 2006 in that general area. We did have that removed last Friday. We sent documentation to that effect. So that's now removed. And so the area, in our opinion, is in full compliance with the order of conditions. Thank you.
All right. Is that what you found, Dennis?
I can confirm everything that he said is correct. And this would be for DEP number 292183, certificate of compliance.
Okay. I will take a motion on the certificate of compliance.
I'll make a motion.
To,
Accept the
okay,
presentation that was just made by Brian, no, what's his name?
Dan
Dan
Nishi.
H. Yep.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Jerry seconds. Brian Franco, what do you say?
Aye.
Dave McWilliams, what do you say?
Aye.
Marissa Cook Obregon?
Aye.
And I as well. It's unanimous. Thank you, Dan, for your presentation.
Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate
and
it.
work.
Have a good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Too.
Thank you, Dan.
Bye-bye.
The next two certificate of compliances are both in the same general area. They're both for the American Inn. And that's Mark Reed from Heritage Surveys is representing those requests. You're on, Mark.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. We have two different notice of intents that we're requesting a certificate of compliance for. The first one is for 292 -213, and that was for work to construct South Village Phase 2, which are the housing units in the rear of Phase 1, behind the restaurant that was located on College Highway. The work was only in the buffer zone for all that, so that, and the stormwater, a portion of the stormwater management detention basin was in the buffer zone also. Again, we submitted an as-built plan showing the units. The majority, like I said, the majority of the units are outside the 100-foot buffer zone, just as some of the units, the rear portion and the yards behind the units are within the buffer zone for that. So it's in substantial compliance with the order of conditions issued by the commission.
And I would agree with everything he said. Agree
Okay,
with Mark.
I'll take a motion on that. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Why don't we move forward with closing out the order conditions?
Okay, Dave made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Met's a second. Okay, Jerry Patria, what do you say?
Aye.
Brian Pranka?
Aye.
Marissa Cook Obregon?
Aye.
And I as well. Okay,
Okay,
that one is also
thank you.
applied with.
And the second one is DEP 292-228. That was for a 5-foot wide widening of College Highway in two areas. And the widening of the roadway was in the buffer zone, and it was on the westerly side of College Highway. That work again was completed. It was to allow for someone that was making a left-hand turn into the American Inn, the ability of driving around the car, waiting to turn into the American Inn.
So that would be coming north on College Highway?
The widening was south on College Highway, on the west side, on the opposite side of the street from the American Inn was the widening.
Oh, so, okay.
So if you're coming south on College Highway, heading towards Southwick, it would allow you to go around a car that was waiting to make a left-hand turn into
Right.
American Inn.
When was that done? I never even noticed that.
I
Now,
don't know either.
Yeah, 5 feet is not much, and most of
Obviously a huge impact.
yeah, in the buffer zone, most of that area was already gravel. Just changed to blacktop, but it was done in 2002.
Oh,
So
Okay,
when South Village was constructed.
everything looks good there, Dan?
yep, that's good too.
Okay, I'll take a motion on that. Or I'll make a motion on that.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, Dave seconds. Brian Pranka,
Aye.
Jerry Patria,
Aye.
Marissa Cook Obregon.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Oh, Mehmet, did I get you?
No, you didn't.
Okay, how about Mehmet? What does Mehmet have to say?
I don't know. I got to think about this. No, I guess all good.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. Very good.
Thank you very much, all.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
We got
Okay.
3 minutes, Chris. Do you want to look at the 34 Grove Street, or do you want to wait for
Yeah,
that?
well, let's try and see how it goes. We don't have to start right exactly on time, so we can,
Yeah.
why don't we do that first?
This is just informal. Carla Hoffman is looking to see if, I sent everybody the plans and I have them available if they want to look at them, but if commissioners want to see anything else. Carla, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much for your time this evening, folks. The attachments were all in a previous email. Please let me know if anyone would like them, or if I don't know if I have the ability to share in your Zoom meeting.
We do.
But
You can share
okay.
if you like.
I'm sorry, say that again.
If you like, you can share them with us.
Okay. Let
That'd be
me,
great.
see if I can do that here. Hmm. I have a raise hand. Let's see. Oh, maybe more. No. Oh, share screen. I got it. All right. You should. see
Wow,
my
Chris,
screen.
you're big.
There we go.
All right, so here's the form that was completed. Thank you again very much for all of your help, Dennis, with this. But here is the drawing that was done to scale. We are located, here is the Grove Street. This is the front of the house. The property in the front here is 100 feet wide. And there's also pictures that I can share with you as well. But the work that we're looking to do is between the house and what is known here as this existing deck. This is a pretty good grade of a slope. There are currently these very old concrete stairs that lead down to this deck, and then there are additional wooden stairs that lead from this deck that go down to the water. This is all on a very steep hill. The first hill from the water's edge to this existing deck is 40 feet. The deck itself is 15 feet wide. And then to go from the edge of the deck to these two walls, which we are looking to have put in here, which will prevent us from having to mow this very steep hill. Each wall is 16 feet long and will be 2 to 3 feet tall. And there'll be planting beds here, so we will no longer have to mow this hill. We're going to replace these existing concrete stairs that are there now with newer, wider ones, a little bit more sturdy and not crumbling. And then at the top of the hill will be this proposed patio, a 16 by 20. And this is actually really the only flat piece of of our yard. That's right off the back of the house. Let's see, I've actually got pictures here that I can show you as well. Let me go back to the actual. So this picture, these are the existing stairs that are there. This is the existing deck that is here. This is the hill that we are proposing the 2 walls, one right about here and one another few feet down. And where you see these chairs at the top of the hill will be the patio itself. And then back to the measurements here. So the total from the water's edge to the beginning of that first wall is approximately 65 feet. And then an additional from that first wall to the second wall is, so you've got the walls are 10 feet apart. So the second wall is 75 feet. And then as I said, the patio is at the top, which is a total of 85 feet from the water's edge.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, who's going to be doing the work?
Nick Pandolfi is from Pandolfi Landscape, and Nick is on the phone with us this evening.
So what are you guys proposing to put between any of the work getting done and the water's edge?
So in between the walls will be bark mulch and plant material. And then at the bottom will be mulch abutting up to the existing deck.
Was your question more around during construction phase?
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't read through this.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
if I'm
so-
being redundant, my apologies.
That's okay.
That's okay.
So we can put any variety of erosion control material needed, whether it be a silt fence across the bottom of that existing deck or straw wattles, whatever you guys would like to see there. I know we're going to need some sort of erosion control measure in case we get any rain during the time of the work. So if you'd like something there, we're happy to accommodate that.
What do you guys look at as far as the construction time, right? Because that might make a difference on what you.
Sure. So I think we'll be there on those walls specifically, probably about 7 to 10 days on the hillside. Once we start excavating and then work our way up, we'll start at the bottom and work up from there. I would say it'd be about 7 to 10 days that we would be, exposed soil in that area.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Wow. When do you propose doing the work?
We'd like to get started as soon as possible. When we're hoping to get it done this fall for sure, rather than waiting till the spring when things are a little bit more wet.
Yeah. And you're only going to be doing above the deck. You're not going to be doing the stairs below the deck at all.
No, only those concrete stairs that you see in the picture that Carla has up now. They're a poured concrete step that's currently there, and we'll be removing them and putting in a precast modular step that'll take their place. So nothing will extend beyond that bottom step right there.
Okay.
So this RDA will be on the agenda for our next meeting, and if you add the erosion control to the plans and everybody's happy, the next meeting we'll be able to vote on it.
Right.
So, okay, and I'm sorry, we added the erosion control. We submitted that in the list of materials, which was included in the package as well.
Okay, placement of the erosion control, you have to show that on the plan where it's going to be placed.
Yeah, and also tell what kind of erosion control.
Yeah, we had said here fiber rolls 20 to 30 feet in distance, so it would go across the entire length of the existing deck.
Okay.
So silt fencing.
Silt
Yeah.
fencing, yes.
Well,
This
it
is
doesn't say
Norm. I'd
silt
like to ask
fencing.
a
It just says rolls, right?
Would you
Plus there's
have
the
a
fiber rolls, which is what it is.
So are they
It's
going to be in
almost-
combination?
It's
Would you
just
have a
it's the same thing.
would you have a preference on straw rolls versus silt fencing? Would there be a preferred method?
I would rather see the erosion control in the form of a silt fence and hay bales on this because of the steepness of the slopes.
I agree.
Okay.
I'd agree.
Yes.
But if you could outline that in the plans, it'll make it obviously a lot easier for us to go ahead and approve.
Okay. So, when is the next meeting?
In 2 weeks, November
Second.
Second,
2nd.
Could,
November
could
2.
could that be submitted like tomorrow instead?
Yes.
Just because,
It is
okay,
gonna-
because
It is going to
as
be
you know,
submitted.
we're running out of time here, guys.
It will be submitted tomorrow, but it has to be advertised, and it's going to be on the agenda for November 2nd. So if everything is in order, we should be able to approve it on the 2nd.
Okay, very good.
And
I
that would
think-
save
Norm,
ready
that's the-
to go.
Appreciate it.
Norm would like to ask a question.
Norm, go
Can
ahead.
Norm ask?
Yep, go ahead, Norm.
Carla, there was a couple of pictures going around that it appeared that it was a deck above the water. I just wanted for the record to hear you say that there is no deck above the water.
There is no, this deck right here is not on the water. No, this is in the middle. All of our decks in this house were here when we purchased the home in 2014. This is the only land, aside from the installation of the fence you see in this picture, this is the only work we've done in the home since we purchased the house in 2014.
There was 2 pictures that went out that appeared that the proposal was to put a deck over the water. And
No,
and you're saying that
No.
is not the case. Okay.
Those
that is,
renderings-
I did actually see some minutes from a meeting from August of this past, and I don't know where those minutes or where that option came from, but that, we did not propose that, no.
The renderings
thank
were
you.
this evening
That-
that
That was
submitted.
that was my fault on the rendering there. The deck, we didn't look beyond the deck. I put the deck a little bit closer to the water than it actually was when I came up with the design there for them. And I just didn't realize what was beyond that deck. And there is another 40 feet with steps there. So that's just my mistake on the rendering, as we really weren't looking at anything beyond that.
Oh, so it was the actual render that he was referring to. Okay, yeah, no, I think this is what I think you're referring to here, this picture,
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
middle deck out of water.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not, there's 40 feet of additional slope below this deck here.
okay,
Okay.
well, we'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. Thank you so much. I think that
Thank you,
everybody's
Carla.
happy with it, and we'll see you on the 2nd.
Thank you very
Nick.
much. Appreciate everyone's
Thank you.
help. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Okay, I guess we'll go to our NOI.
Let me pull up the legal notice. And you can read that, Chris.
Yeah, I can. The Southwick Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Law C-131, Section 40, the Southwick Conservation Commission Regulation and Bylaw, Chapter 182 and Chapter 450 for a notice of intent. Project location is 115 Fred Jackson Road, map 85, parcel 1, Southwick, Mass. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family dwelling, garage, and associated site improvements within a portion of which are located in the buffer zone to the wetland resource areas. A portion of the proposed project is also located within a national
Heritage Endangered Species Program.
yes, thank you, mapped habitat. The hearing will be held right now. Welcome everybody again. Okay,
Take it away, Felipe.
All right. Excuse me. Let me see if I can just share my screen here. All right. Good evening. My name is Philippe Crable from Arlo Vec Associates, here tonight to present the notice of intent application for the proposed single-family home and garage at 115 Fred Jackson Road. We are here representing the applicants and owner, Kevin and Sean Solek. I believe the commission might be vaguely familiar with the project just due to previous applications, just the history of the site. But in general, what you have before you is a notice of intent application for a proposed single-family house located on a pretty large piece of property, which is to be portioned off into 4 different parcels in the future. The notice of intent is for the estate lot piece of or lot of those 4 lots. Currently, the existing conditions are that this site was for the former location of I guess a logging operation. So there is a sort of a road that kind of cuts through the existing land there to get out back, and it's represented by this driveway that you can see on on the screen here. The intent for the single family home is to utilize that same alignment that was used for that logging road for a driveway to access the single family home. I guess it should be said that since this application was submitted, we have revised the site plan to sort of reduce the total impact of the project. The house is shown, up here in this location, but it's being pulled, way back down to more in this location here with the leach field utilizing these 2 test holes here. And I can kind of flip between the 2 here so you can kind of see the difference. So here's the revised plan with the house location here, and here's the proposed, what you have before you with the house up here in this location. We do have a Mass DEP file number, 292-0374, with a number of comments from Mark Stinson. More, a lot of the comments are related to the bordering vegetated wetland and the access road, and whether or not there was some fill of BVW to get that road in there, because currently I believe there's a culvert that sort of crosses under that road at approximately this location. I guess the intent here tonight is to set up a site visit with the commission. We have submitted to the Natural Heritage Program. We haven't received feedback from them yet, and I guess we have to read to them the revised plan. So we have to, we got to work things out with them, and also, obviously any concerns that the commission has, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the proposed project is, an existing logging activity road to be converted to a driveway for a single family home, and we intend to address any comments made by DEP, Mark Stinson, in regard to logging operations, and kind of do some research, and hopefully by the next meeting we can have some answers to his comments in regard to any BVW impacts that were done at that time.
So Dennis, I'm going to ask you this question then. It sounded like, Felipe, you said there might be some revisions to the plan coming up. Should we hold off on a site visit until those revisions? Dennis?
Dennis, I think you're muted, Dennis.
I was going to ask, normally they come in with a request for determination to determine the wetland boundaries before they do a plan. So this is a little bit cart before the horse type of thing. I don't know when that culvert was put in, but when I went out there to look at it for the forest cutting plan, I didn't see any culvert, and I saw more wetlands. So I am a little concerned about the delineation myself, and I think that needs to be explored before we even start looking at any site plans for the house. I mean, it's up to you guys how you want to handle this, but.
Well, I think we should do a step-by-step to make sure that we're looking at plans that are delineated properly. We should maybe okay the wetland boundaries first,
Okay.
It looks
That's-
pretty
that's
busy.
all. I
Or is
think-
this something that we should, investigate further into, I don't know, maybe something more, somebody that knows more than we do?
Ouch.
No, I think it makes sense to, I think the intent of the notice was to, I guess, achieve, do what an RDA does under the notice of intent, which is, delineate the wetlands at the same time as the notice.
Well, you're always taking the chance that if we find the wetlands are different than what are proposed, that you'd have to change the whole plan anyway, so.
Yep.
It's up to you guys how you want to do it, but I think we have to go back to step one and make sure the delineation was done correctly, and it might take, we might need a third-party consultant on it if you want to do it out of season like it is now. Now is a really bad time to do a delineation,
Yeah.
as you know.
Well, yeah, vegetation's obviously turning. Yeah, I mean, this would obviously take, want to make it easy for the commission, or, do whatever you guys would feel comfortable with. And if that's the way that you guys would feel more comfortable proceeding, I can certainly run that by the owner and proceed that way.
Do you guys want to do a site visit just to get out there and take a look at it to see what we're looking at?
I think that might be a good idea, but we won't make any determinations on the wetland boundaries yet. It'd be
Right.
good, I think, to get out and just
Just to
look around.
familiarize.
Agreed. Before things get hard and frozen, and it just makes it harder and harder to see what's going on.
For sure, yeah, the sooner the better at this point, at this time of year, to just get out on site, for sure. Yep, that makes sense.
Okay, we will schedule a site visit and let you know when the commissioners are available, and hopefully coordinate this with somebody from our Levesque to, everything's marked out in the field?
I believe so, but anything specific that you want to see, obviously, center line.
Everything that's on the plan should be marked in the field, so the commissioners know what they're looking at when they get out there. We don't want to
Sure.
waste time.
Yeah, road, wetland flags.
Yep, no, absolutely.
Yeah, if you could stake out where you
Yeah.
guys are looking to put the house as well, make sure that
Yeah.
that area is staked out.
House, leach field, all that stuff.
Okay,
Lawn area,
yeah, limit of work.
yeah, limited work.
Yeah. Okay,
So you're
All right.
requesting a continuation for this,
yes, yeah. Request a continuation to the next meeting and hopefully get that site visit done before.
Do you
Chris,
want to just confirm that all of what we've requested is out there before we go out there? So if you could just take a look at and see if all the markings are there and let us know, then we'll do the site visit. We'll schedule it. I think if we try and
Okay.
schedule it now and nothing's out there, it'd be a waste of our time and your time.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. Yeah, Dennis, I think either Ryan or myself can coordinate with you, as soon as we get everything delineated in the field, we can let you know, and then you can schedule the site visit.
excellent, excellent. Chris, you want to take a motion on continuing?
I'll make a motion for continuance on this. We have a second?
Second.
And that second, Dave McWilliams, what do you say?
Aye.
Ryan Pranka?
Aye.
Marissa Cook Obergan?
Aye.
There you are. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Gary Patria?
Aye.
There you are. I'm trying to go around my screen. I can't find everybody. Okay. So we will schedule a site visit once we're sure of the flagging for the site.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask
All
a
right.
quick question? What's the endangered species that they're talking about?
That's the wood turtle.
Okay.
Not supposed to let that note out, but that's what it is. I know because I live near there. I think I might have reported it. We have, Chris, we have Michael Doherty, the chair of the planning board, and I believe he's here to discuss the conservation restriction on the Greens East.
Okay,
I know that we had some, at the last meeting, we read that newspaper article and some of the commissioners wanted me to confirm or deny whether that article was in fact correct. And it turns out that the article was not in fact correct. Somebody jumped to conclusions, and this hasn't been signed by the commission or by the select board. And we still have time to rectify this issue. As you know, there's 2 accesses from College Highway. It's open space to go right to College Highway, which we always assumed was so people could get to it from College Highway. Otherwise, why would you have open space there? But you know what they say about assuming things.
right. But we would like to do more than assume. We'd like to make it be so. So, I mean, Michael, what do we do for that? How do we go about it?
Well, I mean, I all I can tell you is, I mean, it wasn't really addressed in our decisions, right? I mean, we have decisions that are that don't speak to it in any way, shape, or form. It's not part of the bylaws. And, you know, I mean, I think the issue now is simply, I mean, what you'd be doing is putting on some liability, right, to the homeowners association. You know, they would have, it's private property as it stands, you know, now, or at least stood before it came before the planning board. It's going to be retained as private property, albeit with the state approval in Article 97 land, but it will be retained as private property. So to allow public access, I mean, you could, but without having it been brought up and with the potential liability, I'm not sure at this point how you go back and do that.
This is Dave McWilliams. So I have a question, right? Because up until recently, we had an open space commission within town, right? So the town was actually managing open spaces. So when I hear about open spaces, I read it as open spaces deeded back to the town, run and managed by the town. That was my big concern, is if this was actually going to be town property, like the open space in my development here, doesn't belong to the residents of the community, it belongs to the town. Why can't the town have access to it?
Well, I don't know about your development, to be honest with you. I don't know where you live. But you know, this was set up to be structured into a homeowners association. You know, I don't necessarily think, and I certainly can't speak for the town, but I'm not sure the town wants to take on open space and the maintenance and whatever else that goes along with that. You know, that comes up.
The town won't take on any kind of maintenance. It'll be homeowners. But Attorney Beglane told me that the west side is open to the public, and every other conservation restriction we have done is open to the public. And there is not a liability issue, because once it's open to the public, there's some kind of indemnity that's, I mean,
a
look
town
into
rider.
that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we've always.
So Attorney Beglane has not said that. He hasn't. I mean, I've been on the emails. So unless you talked to him and he said something different than what was on the emails that you and I have both been on, he has not said that. He's the one who actually brought this up, because he raised the question of, I don't know, and I can't tell from reading the decision as to whether public access is allowed. That was Mark Beglane's question. So
Right.
I don't.
He brought that up specifically because the other subdivisions, this is what he told me. He brought it up specifically because the other subdivisions, including the west side, were done for public, for everybody to use.
That's not true, Dennis. It's not true. I wrote the decision. It's not. You can go back and look at it. I wrote it. It's not addressed on the west side.
Well, he said if it's not addressed, it could go in either direction. If it's not addressed, then it could be either way. That's why he getting something in writing from him. I asked him today to put it in writing, because this is specifically, he told me this. The reason he questioned it is because every other one has been done for, the planning board is giving the developer He's giving them smaller roads, smaller lots. He's giving a lot. So, the town is supposed to get something back. That's the flexible subdivision premise, that the town gets something back from giving all these concessions to the developer. Attorney Begline also told me that it was David Schreier, the attorney for the developer, that told him that they wanted it private. And why would the attorney for the developer have a right to say whether it's private or public? You're giving them a break. The town is giving them a lot of breaks on a flexible subdivision, and you would think they would get something in return. There's several elderly places, subdivisions. There's several elderly places around there. People could almost walk to that property. You're going to police it, and you're going to tell them they can't go on that property. It doesn't seem to make any sense.
I mean, I'm not going to police it. I don't. It's not. If it's private property, it's private property. I mean, doesn't mean that people can't necessarily go on it in any way, shape, or form. It's just not public. So
That's kind of oxymoron there.
Yeah, and I get, one of the things that I kind of set me off is we went out and we did a site visit with the developers. We walked the entire property, and they told us specifically during that visit that it was going to be open to the public. So to see that all of a sudden it wasn't open to the public, it's like, well, wait a second. If there's a change in plans, how come this wasn't communicated? Because we had a verbal that it was going to be open.
But I guess my issue is I wasn't there, right? I mean, that's not my purview. I'm not going to be there. And so that information doesn't make its way to the planning board. If that was an issue that, was represented or was important to the Conservation Commission, my suggestion going forward, at least, would be to make sure that makes its way to us in part of the public record that we're ruling on. So, I mean, we have something in there that says, this is represented, or this is what we wish to do.
And you know what? I agree with you. And my fault is not what was or wasn't brought to you. I think my biggest concern is with the developer who made a commitment to us and had a different conversation with you folks. I have a problem with that. That's an integrity issue to me.
And Michael, be assured that from now on, that will be our wishes, that when open space does come before you, it is open to the public, because that's what we were going to be asking for.
Chris, this was pre-pandemic. We had this little thing called the pandemic that came upon us. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now, because Alan and I would talk every day in the office, but things have changed a bit. It's not too late to fix it, though. Things could be fixed. And my question to Michael is, if the Conservation Commission does not sign off on the conservation restriction, who are you going to get to hold the conservation restriction?
I don't know what that means. What?
The Conservation Commission will be responsible for enforcing, and they will be holding the conservation restriction. If they don't sign off on it, you're going to have to find a land trust or pay somebody to hold the conservation restriction on this property.
And so I don't know the ins and outs of Article 97 or whatever the process to get you to Article 97 is in this regard. I honestly don't. So I
don't think we're going to be solving anything here tonight. So, I think we should go forward through communication with emails and
but
see
what's
what we can do
the, I
that
mean, I
way.
guess what's the path forward that you see? I mean, right now, as I see it, looking back, and all I can do is look back at what we did and go by my memory, which is, certainly, like everybody else, is probably faulty. We issued a decision, I think back in 2018 on the west side, and in June of 19 on the east side. So we've already issued the special permits, definitive plan approvals for both of those sides. My understanding of what happened is that to sort of allow the developer to go forward without having to wait on the state, which takes a substantial amount of time to get to go through that process, that they filed something with the registry, which wasn't the appropriate conservation restriction. It was sort of a placeholder, which I don't agree with that process, and I wasn't part of it, but we'll deal with that later on down the line. My understanding is that that's what happened, but then the conservation restriction, I think for both sides, still needs to be worked out. but to me, at least in my mind, that's legalese and not necessarily something substantive as public access. I mean, to go back and, you know, I do, you know, Dave, what you had said about their representation, I mean, that gives me some pause, and certainly something I'll raise tomorrow. You know, if someone's there to address it, I've asked them to come. So if they're there to address it, I'll certainly raise it, because that does give me some pause. But aside from that, it seems difficult to go back now, having already written the decisions, already issued the special permits, and make what is arguably a pretty substantive change. I mean, I don't necessarily agree that if it's not in there, we can do whatever we want. But you know, I'll talk to Mark Begling tomorrow and hopefully get, you know, I can find out what his opinion on that issue is. And you know, the other part of it is it depends on what the board wants to do. I mean, I'm only one member of the board. I can't speak for the entirety of the board, which is why I put it on for tomorrow rather than sort of getting into it, because it, you know, Mark's question was, what was the intent of the board? You know, and I can't speak to that. I need to sort of put that to the board and let them weigh in on it. I mean, I know that there was discussion about, I believe there was discussion about access before, and where you park and how you get to it and how anybody's going to get in there. I believe that discussion did occur at some point during, you know, I'm guessing.
Well, that was part of the conversation when we went out and we did the tour, right? Was because initially they were like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of open space, but really nobody's going to want people cutting through people's yards. And then the conversation came up about that the open space abutted College Highway. And the recommendation was, well, you've already got parking for the old snack shack here at the golf course. You know, why not just keep that as is, give people an opportunity to pull off and park, no cost to you because it's already there, and then people have access to it. That's how the conversation went down the road of, yeah, it's good. We want to give people access to it. We don't have room in the development because of the way the property lines are laid off, but there is access coming off of College Highway.
Okay. And is that, I think I've heard something about 2 different locations to park. Is there a second one, or is that just the one
I
that
just
you're?
remember the conversation about the snack shack, to be candid.
Okay.
I don't remember any other locations being discussed.
Okay. So just so that I can have it straight in my head, just so as I'm going through my notes for tomorrow, and y'all are certainly welcome to hop on. It's, you know, we're going to raise it early on and try to get to it. And if it's going to take anything more than 10 minutes, we're going to kick it off to the next meeting to deal with it, you know, properly, because we have to deal with the Verizon cell tower.
Your meetings have been going long enough. I understand.
Yes, no, yeah. We don't need to add anything more to that. So I'm going to talk to Mark Begling tomorrow. I'm going to find out from him from a legal standpoint what the options can be given what the decision is. I'm going to find out, you know, I do have in my head, I mean, and this may just be me, but I do have liability as an issue. You know, I mean, I think it is an issue, and I'm almost certain that the applicant is going to come back with that as an issue. So I do want to find out from Mark.
When you're having that conversation, I guess I would not only look at it forward looking as what is the liability looking forward, but how are we handling liability to those parcels that are already under town control, right? Because there's precedent there. This is not new, right? So it's not new for them. There's already parcels of land that the town is managing under open space.
So Dave, if you don't mind me asking what development you live in, just so I can go back and look at.
I live in Woodland Ridge.
Okay. All right. So, you know, what I'll do tonight, if I can, if not tomorrow, is go back and pull the stuff from the registry for that property, and I can better see it and see how it's structured. And then I'll also talk to Mark about, you know, how that conservation restriction, I guess, would be held, because I honestly don't know that answer, because I just don't know that scheme well enough. You know, what I will say, you know, I don't have, I'm more than willing to have the conversation, and now we have a bunch of stuff on and we're just trying to get through, the Zoom stuff and feel comfortable with stuff, but I'm more than happy to have the conversation and figure out the best way to structure that before another development comes down the pike. I just, it's not I'm a lawyer, but it's not what I do. So I don't know it well enough. And I get bits and pieces of things that raise flags in my head, but not enough to have a good picture in my head about what the issues are and, what needs to be done. So I don't have any qualms about changing the way it's structured right now and whether we can find a better way forward. I do agree that, they are getting some benefit from the flexible residential subdivision, and the town should get something back for that. Though I will point out, and I can't remember if it's got to be the east side. My memory is that the flexible residential development plan was beyond, from a conservation standpoint, was much better than the whatever it is, not flexible. I'm blanking on the name of it. Was much better from a conservation standpoint, environmental standpoint, because it has to do with water crossing, I think, if that one, I think they eliminated a potential road going over, whether it's wetlands or stream or something like that. They eliminated that, I think, on the east side by doing the flexible residential. So I think, I think there was some benefits from, a town standpoint for doing that flexible residential, at least for that east side, if my memory serves me. But the idea that you should get something back for letting them do these things beyond what the open space is, or at least, how you implement the open space plan. I totally agree with that. So let me have some conversations. We'll see what we can do tomorrow. We'll see what the board thinks, and then we'll go from there. I'll certainly, to the extent anyone who's not there, I'll certainly let Dennis or shoot an email to the Conservation Commission, letting them know what happens.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good evening.
As well.
Okay. New England Scenic Trail, Dennis?
Dennis, you're on mute.
You're muted, Dennis. Dennis, we can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
They're out cutting the trees for the ADA accessible switchbacks, and they're slowly starting on the project this week. There was a little bit of problem with, there wasn't enough money allotted because they had to take more trees down, but we were able to cut some of the corners on it. And I think the project is going to happen as the budget was proposed. And hopefully they're out there cutting trees. We probably should, make sure that people are aware that there's work going on in that area.
Okay.
The Swamp Trail, Dave and I have been working on that with the state, and they have come up with an idea how to make it ADA compliant. Dave, would you like to take it?
Yeah, so the issue with the Swamp Trail is the pitch of the ramp, right? Right now, it's outside of ADA compliance. It would essentially become a speedway for anybody on a wheelchair trying to go down the bottom of the ramp, and actually would be a burden going up. So it's only off by a couple of degrees, but that's really all it takes. So the original plan that came back from the state was to raise the ramp, put shims, and I'm not talking 1/4-inch shims, I'm talking 9-inch shims in some areas to lift the entire walkway up to more level the plane of it, which in essence would work. I think the concern, I've had a conversation with a couple of people, the concern is about the labor that it would take to do that. I mean, there's a substantial amount of weight that would have to be lifted up. The other thing is the the railings that were just completed and put in there, right, are welded and bolted to the railing. So there's some concern is if you take the bend out of it, what's going to happen to those railings, right? You're changing the angles, you're changing how close and how far they are from one another. So it's going to have some impact on that. Dennis, I'm going to go back and I'm going to ask him to give us the alternative that we originally talked about, which is shaving some of it off and lowering the top part and seeing how big a difference that would be to do that plan versus the one he proposed. And then sit down with some people who know a lot more about engineering than I do, which of the two plans would be less invasive from a structural standpoint. So I'm going to email Doug. I'll CC you in on it and just see if he can run another set of plans by us.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do some additional research before going in there and ripping it apart and trying to jack it up with hydraulic jacks. So we'll, to be continued, then we'll do some more research on it.
Sounds good.
Some under old business, request for certificate of compliance for Granville and Fred Jackson Road. He promised it would be done for this meeting, which it is not. So it's going to need to be continued. Request for certificate of compliance on 691 College Highway behind the dollar store where there was the violation with the DEP. That has not been resolved as of yet. And the environmental consultant asked for a continuance on that till the next meeting. I sent everybody the Congamon Heights Beach Association 5-year updated plan. So hopefully everybody a chance to look at that. And if there's any more comments, we'll get back to Carol Ann and ask her to do some more revisions on it. Unless you're happy with the way it looks, then we'll
I read
talk
it
about
today. It looked good. I thought it looked good.
Town hall access and meeting protocols, been a little bit confusing. But the members of the Conservation Commission are allowed in the building. They would highly recommend that we have somebody escort them into the building. I don't think that's actually, I sent everybody the protocol. I don't think that's actually written into the protocol, but it's highly recommended and it would be helpful. Just call Gene or myself and we'll meet you there, escort you into the building. If you need to see any files or do anything, just let us know.
She's an excellent escort. I got to say that about you.
My goodness.
I'm an excellent everything.
I saw you were raising
I
your
only
hand.
know about your escort skills these days. We haven't been around each other.
I see you were raising your hand earlier, Gene. Did you have something that earlier you wanted to say, or are you just stretching?
I was eating a cookie.
Ah.
Wait.
Dessert.
No, that's my hand was.
But I would like to thank everybody for their prompt response to come down to town hall. All the documents from the last meeting are signed. Everything from the last meeting is completed. So now we can start on all the new business.
Excellent.
Did Norm have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I do. First of all, after the last meeting, I went to talk to Kurt Saunders about the fact that he had said he's going to submit some more money to Gene. He said he'd take care of it, and then he texted me a couple of days ago saying that he sent in a check, but he didn't tell me how much. So I don't know if you've got that yet, Gene, or not.
No, I couldn't make it to town hall today. I will, however, be there tomorrow. If any,
Hopefully
Dennis,
tonight.
are these certificate of compliances ready to be signed?
They will be tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be in town hall at 11 o'clock if anybody wants to come down and sign them. And Norm, I'll check the mail to see if the check is there.
Okay. Then second update is on last Saturday, we did pull the north ramp docks out. And today we pulled out the 22 buoys. And that's always a chore and a half. But what was interesting is when we were in North Pond pulling the buoys, I noticed over on 7 and 9 Lakeview Street, that construction activity is taking place. And I was surprised to see 2 foundations, not one. I went back to my notes from the May 4th meeting of the Conservation Commission, and it specifically, my notes said that only one was approved, and that the second plans would be submitted back to the Conservation Commission at a later date. I then went in and checked the minutes of the meeting from the May 4th meeting, and it did say the same thing, that they would come back with the plans for the second foundation, the second house. There are 2 foundations in there now, folks, so do what you need to do.
Actually, the second foundation is outside of the 100-foot jurisdiction. If there's any work occurring within 100 feet of the lake, then we'll have to do something about it. But the foundation itself is outside of the jurisdiction. When they start putting in a yard, or if they start doing any work within the 100 foot,
Really?
that will need to come back to us.
Dennis, would they still have to put in silt fence if for any erosion going down to the water?
Oh, there's still fence, there's erosion control up.
With the second one too?
Yeah, yeah. They had put that up when they did the demolition.
Okay.
Well, they looked like they were in the same location. So one was in the 100 foot. I'm surprised the other one isn't.
We'll take a look, Norm. We'll take a second look at that.
Okay.
Out there right away, look at
Okay.
that. Thank you for your input. Appreciate it.
All right, that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Norm. It looks like that's about it, Dennis. Is that it? Am I seeing anything else? We're not
Next
seeing
meeting
anything?
is November 2nd.
Correct.
Dennis, were you able to get the new Granville Gorge sign up?
That has not been put up yet. I talked to Bob Johnson. I'm going to see if it's a 2-man job. I'm going to see if I can get him to help us with it.
Yeah, I could do it tomorrow or Thursday if you want to go up and do it. That's easy. You and I
All
can
right.
do it.
Text me in the morning, then we'll make plans.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Do you need any stainless steel lags or screws or anything? Let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
several thousand, actually, several thousand stainless, only stainless, not that junk you try to pawn off on people. You want the good stuff.
Brian, do you have any of those kinds that you can't, that are the security ones that you can not be able to take out again?
We don't stock that kind.
I'll see if we can get some from, we'll see if we can get some from the DPW. They must have a few extra ones.
Is that a one-way screw?
One-way screw.
Yeah. It is.
I
Make
gotta
what you will.
At that point, I
That's
just
what
gotta
it's
get off
called.
this call.
It's a one-way.
Very good.
Next time, take off the recording before you say that.
We'll
Motion
get in touch
to
with you
adjourn.
guys. We'll get in touch with you guys as soon as we find out that they've actually got everything in the field all marked and staked out on Fred Jackson Road. Because
Great.
we don't want to go out there and just be walking around blind.
That just seems very complex. I was looking at that plan. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
You might need a third party. I think would probably be a good idea, especially if they want to delineate this time of year to hire a third party consultant. And they would, of course, have to pay for that. The commission has it in their bylaw that we can do that.
It'd be a lot easier to look at the plans on site too, I think, because I couldn't tell which was the wetland boundaries and
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot.
so.
I mean,
All
you
right,
should
then.
probably mark the whole place and also mark it on the plan itself with some highlighters or something so that we have a kind of a cross-reference on both, you know?
Good idea. Good idea.
Okay.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second, third, Jerry Patria,
Aye.
Brian Pranka,
Absolutely.
Marissa.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, we're all set.